The entire DC universe is about to enter a nightmare from which it may never awaken. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Night Terror's First Blood, issue number 1, the kickoff to a brand new crossover event, courtesy of Joshua Williamson. So let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, as we join the book, we are introduced to a man named John. He's having a very idyllic day with his wife and children in the park. He's awakened from a rest, and he says that he had the most wonderful dream where colorful characters fought the battle for good and upheld justice. Only that was no dream, and John is no regular man. He's actually revealed to be none other than Dr. Destiny, an old-school Justice League foe, who used the power of the Dreamstone to warp reality and bring horrible nightmares to life. Now, though, it seems Dr. Destiny has actually run afoul of another evil life form that seems to be manipulating powers from the nightmare world. This mysterious, unseen individual, who we actually first caught a glimpse of all the way back in DC's Free Comic Book Day issue for this year, leads John D through a house of horrors modeled after the Hall of Justice. Eventually, though, our mystery man ends up letting it slip that what he's actually after isn't Dr. Destiny, not even the Dreamstone. No, this unforeseen evil wants something called the Nightmare Stone. Which, yeah, I mean, I guess it only makes sense that the Dreamstone should have a polar opposite. And if Dr. Destiny could create so much horror with just a Dreamstone, imagine what a Nightmare Stone could do. Now, even though Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are prominently displayed on the cover of this issue, it turns out our actual real POV ride-along character is none other than Boston Brand, aka Deadman. Currently, Deadman is overseeing the funeral of a man who was very loved. He lived to 100 years old, died peacefully in his bed, and is survived by many loving children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren. This warms Deadman's heart because he knows that not everyone who dies is mourned near as much. Hell, he wasn't mourned, and you know Boston Brand is going to be important for this story because they go out of their way to retell us his origin. How he was a scummy circus performer who was murdered by an assassin during a stunt, and how he was only brought back by Ramakrishna under the condition that he help other people with their paranormal problems, though he's been doing this for a long time now, and he wonders if there will ever actually be any end in sight to this unlife he's living. It is, however, Boston's connection to the world of the dead that first clues him in that there's something very wrong with the world right now. A dark specter is hanging over the Trinity, haunting them, if you will. And as such, Deadman decides to give chase to try and warn Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, even though they can't actually see him right now because, well, we're playing by Ghosts of Christmas Past rules. As we learn, this is actually the first time Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have been together since the end of Dark Crisis, and so they have a lot to fill each other in on. The fight with Failsafe in the Batman book, the rise of Supercorp in the Superman book, the fact that Wonder Woman herself was dead, hung out with Deadman, but is now actually back amongst the world of the living again, you know, traditional superhero stuff. We're also reminded that the Justice League kind of went on hiatus after the end of Dark Crisis, leaving Nightwing and the Titans to become the premier super team of the DC universe. Even though the League isn't together anymore, the Hall of Justice was left open as an inspiring tourist destination. However, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are here today, though, because it seems something or someone has tripped an alarm deep in the bowels of the facility. By the time the Trinity manage to rally and get down there, though, they find the disfigured and tortured body of John D. lashed. This is distressing for a number of reasons, not just because the Justice League shouldn't have a corpse in their headquarters, but also because Dr. Destiny was amongst the people arrested after Deathstroke and the Secret Society of Supervillains' defeat at the end of Dark Crisis. He shouldn't be here right now. In fact, as far as Batman knew, he was still a prisoner over at the new Arkham Tower. Though a quick phone call from Harley Quinn later, we realize that Dr. Destiny is still technically inside Arkham Tower. He's just having himself a horrible full-body nightmare right now, which is only made worse by the fact that the doctors keep failing to sedate him, try though they might. It's around here Deadman decides to possess Batman's body so he can share what he knows with the rest of the heroes. Apparently, nightmare creatures from their own realm are slowly but surely bleeding into the prime material. This means despite looking like a magical caper, it actually isn't one. Deadman knows this because the realm of the dead and the realm of nightmares actually share borders. They're basically like siblings. Oh yeah, how about that? Dream and nightmare and death all being family members? Geez, Joshua Williamson, you getting your Neil Gaiman on much? I mean, I guess you did get your Grant Morrison on during the last event, so it only makes sense to change it up for this one. As you might have guessed, Batman really hates being possessed, but now that the heroes actually have a better understanding of what's going on, they decide to split up. Wonder Woman is going to get the help of Zatanna and Justice League Dark to see if they can shed any light on this in a magical sense. Superman is going to return to his company in Metropolis Supercorp to see if their technology can give them any edge at all, and Batman is going to go to Arkham Tower to investigate this other John D. It's when the heroes leave we realize that they're actually currently under surveillance of Amanda Waller right now, who at the end of Dark Crisis vowed that she was going to get the heroes like never before, and it seems like she's going to stay good to her word on this one. She might not actually be the main villain in everything that's going on right now, but she's certainly going to be able to throw a wrench into the spanners. Now when Batman finally does make it to Arkham Tower, everything is absolutely going to hell in a handbasket. John D's body explodes in a bunch of purple evil energy that envelops the entire hospital. The corpse also begins to speak in a very non-Dr. Destiny voice, once again saying that it's after the Nightmare Stone and that Dr. Destiny hid it within the dreams of his most hated foes, the Justice League. Furthermore, it seems whoever this mystery villain is, they got a real bone to pick with the superhero community, saying that they themselves dream of a day wherein the world sees the League not as heroes, but as the horrible monsters they've always been. And that the first step to doing just that is putting the entire world to sleep. Yes, indeed, all over the world, purple energy washes over everyone, putting them in a deep, dark slumber. Well, except for Batman, that is not right away, because yes, you guessed it, he has a contingency for forcibly being put to sleep. It seems that he has a protocol in his suit called No Sleep Till Gotham, very fun reference, which when fully activated shoots his heart full of adrenaline so he can keep on fighting the horrifying nightmare creatures that are starting to overrun Arkham Tower. Sadly though, this also proves to just be a brief stopgap, as even Batman ends up succumbing to this horrible nightmare power. All is not lost though. It's a good thing that Deadman was flying around Bats while all of this is happening, because he was able to hop inside his body and protect him. It's here too, it's also revealed that the mystery villain is also able to see Deadman in his possession. In fact, he even goes as far as to say that we are alike. The bodies of mortals are our playthings, and if we work together, there's no telling what we can accomplish. As the comic comes to a close, this mystery villain finally reveals his name. Turns out this guy obsessed with sleep and nightmares and dreams is actually codenamed Insomnia. A villain, as someone who works on the internet, I sadly know all too well. And so that was Night Terror's First Blood issue number 1, everybody, and overall I was a little conflicted on this issue. On one hand, I actually thought it was a pretty creative and inventive concept for an event. It's almost if Joshua Williamson really took to heart what I and other critics said about Dark Crisis when we called it maybe too simplistic and a little too paint by numbers at times. This is also basically a direct sequel to Dark Crisis 2. It's the Trinity getting back together for the first time in a while. It's the continued machinations of Walt Waller, and I wouldn't be surprised to see other connective tissues sprout up too. Joshua Williamson is always really good at referencing the work of Joshua Williamson. Hell, as a fan of obscure DC comic book heroes who rarely ever get the spotlight, I must congratulate Joshua Williamson for essentially tricking the entirety of the comic reading world into really investing into a story that is basically as much about Deadman as it is anything else. Of course, I'm a lot more than just a comic book critic and consumer advocate. I'm a fan too, and I also totally hear and understand what a lot of other people are saying when it comes to Night Terrors. Mainly, did we need another big event this soon? Into the DC Dawn era, it feels like so many of these books, really good books by the way, were just getting started, and now all of it is going to have to basically take 2 months off while we deal with this mega story. Basically, Night Terrors is kind of throwing down the gauntlet and saying, hey, you better be on board for this, you better be on board for 2-part tie-ins preempting your regularly scheduled books, because if not, you basically got nothing else at DC to read between now and September, which can be a lot to ask of fans. I don't know, maybe Night Terrors would have been better served if it was just a regular old Justice League story or another maxi series, like Infinite Frontier or Justice League Incarnate that Joshua Williamson is so well known and celebrated for doing. Who's to say for sure? Overall though, I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's just compelling enough for me to be excited to see the next part of the main story and maybe pick up the tie-ins for books that I was already reading. Though certainly not enough for me to pick up any new books at this time. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.